Along Spain's northern coast, there's a stretch of beach where you can press your hand against a thin, dark line in the rock and touch the exact moment the dinosaurs disappeared. 66 million years compressed into a stripe no wider than your finger. Geologists travel from across the world to study it. Most tourists drive right past without stopping. This is Spain's Basque Country, and that beach is where we're headed. But we're starting in Bilbao. The Basque Country occupies Spain's northeast corner, pressed between the Cantabrian mountains and the Bay of Biscay. It's compact. You can drive across the entire region in under 2 hours, but it packs in more per square mile than almost anywhere else on the Iberian Peninsula. World-class food, a coastline that shifts between dramatic cliffs and wide sandy bays, a culture and language that predate the Roman Empire, and a wine country that rivals anything across the border in France. We've got 10 stops ahead, working our way from Bilbao along the coast and then inland before circling back to that ancient beach. First up, a city that reinvented itself around a single building. Bilbao was a gritty industrial port city until 1997, when Frank Gehry's Guggenheim Museum opened on the riverfront and changed everything. The building itself is the main event. Titanium panels that shift colour with the light, curving forms that look genuinely different from every angle you approach. You could spend 20 minutes just walking around the outside, watching the surface change from silver to gold as clouds move overhead. Inside, the permanent collection rotates, but the massive ground floor galleries always have something worth the entrance fee, around €14 for adults, free for kids under 12. Allow at least 2 hours. But Bilbao is more than the Guggenheim. Cross the river to the Casco Viejo, the old quarter, where narrow streets open into small plazas lined with pintxos bars. Pintxos are the Basque version of tapas, but more elaborate. Small bites arranged on bar tops, each one a miniature construction of flavour. At Plaza Nueva, the covered arcade is filled with bars, and the tradition is to order 1 or 2 pintxos at each place, have a small drink, then move to the next. A pintxo and a small beer runs about €3 to €4. The Casco Viejo is also home to the Ribera market, one of the largest covered markets in Europe, where the ground floor sells fresh produce and seafood, and the upper level has sit-down food stalls, serving everything from Basque cider to grilled octopus. Saturday mornings are the liveliest, but any weekday before noon has good energy. 35 minutes east along the coast road, the urban landscape gives way to green clifftops and crashing Atlantic surf. And then you see it. San Juan de Gaztelugatxe is a tiny island connected to the mainland by a stone bridge and 241 hand-carved steps. At the top sits a 10th century hermitage dedicated to John the Baptist. The climb takes about 20 minutes each way, and the path zigzags dramatically along the cliff edge. This isn't a stroll, and anyone with serious mobility concerns should think twice, but families with older kids handle it regularly. The views from the top stretch across the Bay of Biscay, and on clear days you can trace the coast all the way back towards Bilbao. The site gained international fame after appearing in Game of Thrones as Dragonstone, but locals have been making this pilgrimage for 1,000 years. There's a tradition: ring the hermitage bell 3 times and make a wish. The island is free to visit, but in summer you need to book a time slot through the Basque government's website. They cap daily visitors to protect the path. Aim for early morning or late afternoon to dodge the midday crush, and bring water. There's nothing to buy at the top. From Gaztelugatxe, we're skipping past a couple of pleasant but non-essential beach towns and heading straight for the city that arguably has the greatest concentration of good food on the planet. An hour east along the motorway, San Sebastián opens up around a crescent-shaped bay. San Sebastián's Part Vieja, the old town, is a tight grid of streets at the base of Monte Orgol, and nearly every ground floor space is a pintxos bar. This isn't exaggeration. The city has more Michelin stars per square mile than Paris or Tokyo. But the real action happens at bar level, where there are no reservations and no dress codes. Places like Bar Nestor, Gandarias, and La Cachara de San Telmo have been perfecting individual dishes for decades. Bar Nestor is known for two things, its tortilla and its tomato salad. They make one tortilla per day at 1 o'clock sharp, and when it's gone, it's gone. The tomato salad is just tomatoes, olive oil and salt, and somehow it borders on transcendent. The strategy here is simple. Go between 7 and 9 in the evening when the bars start laying out fresh rounds of pintxos on their counters, order 1 or 2 at each spot, eat standing at the bar, have a glass of txakoli, a slightly sparkling local white wine that they pour from a height to aerate, and move to the next place. 3 or 4 bars make a full dinner, and you'll spend around 25 to 30 euros, including drinks. There's a rhythm to it that feels social and unhurried, even when the bars are packed. Steps from the old town, La Concha Beach curves in a wide crescent around a sheltered bay. The water is calm, the sand is fine and pale, and in summer it fills with families, swimmers and sunbathers. It's a proper city beach, changing rooms, lifeguards, cafes along the promenade, but the setting, framed by green hills on both sides and the small island of Santa Clara in the middle of the bay, elevates it far beyond ordinary. For the view that explains why people fall for this city, take the funicular up Monte Agueldo at the western end of the bay. It runs every 15 minutes, costs a few euros round trip, and at the top there's a slightly eccentric old amusement park, vintage rides from another era, a rickety roller coaster that delights kids, and a terrace that looks back across the entire bay, the old town and the green flanks of Monte Orgul. Try to time it for late afternoon, when the light goes golden and the water turns from blue to amber. 20 minutes west along the coast from San Sebastián, past headlands and surf breaks, the small town of Getaria sits on a rocky peninsula that juts into the sea like a sleeping whale. Getaria is a working fishing village that happens to do one thing extraordinarily well: grill fish over charcoal. The main street has several asadoras, grill restaurants, where whole turbot and sea bream cook over open flames right at the entrance, smoke drifting up into the narrow street. El Cano is the famous one, with a Michelin star and prices to match, but Calle Caipe on the harbour is equally satisfying and slightly more approachable. A grilled turbot for 2 runs about 40 to 50 euros, and eating it on the terrace overlooking the port, watching fishing boats come and go, is one of those meals that rearranges your priorities. Getaria also has the Balenciaga Museum. The fashion designer Cristobal Balenciaga was born here. The building is modern and striking, and even if high fashion isn't your world, the craftsmanship on display is remarkable. Entry is around 10 euros, and an hour covers it. Walking along the harbour after lunch, I got talking to a fisherman mending nets. I asked about the unusual rock formations visible in the cliffs to the west, dark layered stone, tilted at sharp angles, clearly different from anything else along the coast. He laughed and said, "The whole story of the world is written in those rocks." He told me to visit Zumaya. We're not heading there yet, but I filed it away. Back east, past San Sebastián and almost to the French border, the walled town of Hondarribia sits at the mouth of the Bidasoa River, looking across at France. Hondarribia feels different from the rest of the coast. The upper town is a medieval fortress, stone walls, painted wooden balconies dripping with geraniums, and a parador, a state-run hotel set inside a 10th century castle, where you can at least have a drink on the terrace if you're not staying the night. The lower town, the Marina district, is where the fishermen's houses have been converted into pintxos bars and small restaurants. It's quieter than San Sebastián, less polished, and that's precisely the appeal. From the marina, a small passenger ferry crosses the river to Hendaye in France. The ride takes about 2 minutes and costs under €2, a fun novelty, and Hendaye has a long sandy beach that tends to be less crowded than the Spanish site. For families, there's also a small whale and marine life museum in Hondarribia's Old Town that keeps younger children engaged for an hour or so. We've covered the coast now, and it would be easy to never leave it, but the Basque interior holds its own weight. An hour south from Hondarribia, past green valleys and scattered farmsteads, the character changes. Vitoria-Gasteiz is the Basque capital, and most visitors to the region skip it entirely, which is their loss. The old town is built in concentric rings, medieval streets radiating outward from a hilltop cathedral, and the whole thing has been carefully restored over the past 2 decades.
The Cathedral of Santa Maria is undergoing one of Europe's longest-running restoration projects, and you can tour the active construction site. It's genuinely fascinating, walking through scaffolded interiors while guides explain Gothic architecture as workers chisel stone above your head. Tours run about €10 and last 90 minutes. Book ahead, they sell out in high season. The city is also one of Europe's greenest, with a belt of parks, wetlands and gardens encircling the entire urban centre. You can walk or bike the whole loop in a few hours, and it's remarkably peaceful for a capital city. Bike rentals are available near the Old Town for around €8 per half day. At a cafe in the Old Quarter, I mentioned the rock formations the fishermen in Getaria had told me about. The woman behind the counter said the same thing, unprompted. You're going to the coast. Go to Zumaya. You'll see time itself. That's twice now. 40 minutes south of Vitoria, the landscape dries out and the vines begin. Most people associate Rioja wine with the La Rioja region on the southern side, but the Basque side, Rioja Alavesa, produces some of the finest bottles and has a dramatically different personality. Medieval villages sit on hilltops above vineyards that stretch to the horizon, and modern architecture punctuates the landscape in unexpected ways. The Marqués de Riscal winery, designed by Frank Gehry, the same architect behind the Guggenheim, is a swirl of pink and gold titanium ribbons rising from the vines. You can tour the winery and taste 3 wines for around €20, or splurge on lunch at the on-site restaurant. For something more intimate, the village of Laguardia is worth a full afternoon. Its underground is honeycombed with medieval wine cellars, and several are open for visits. Bodega El Fabulista, beneath the main square, offers tastings in a cave that hasn't changed much since the 15th century. Cool stone walls, barrels lining the walls, glasses of Tempranillo that taste of dark fruit and thyme. The village itself is tiny, walkable end to end in 10 minutes, but the views from the old walls across the Ebro Valley are worth lingering over with a glass. 20 minutes north of Laguardia, back towards Vitoria, a detour leads to something genuinely unexpected. The Añana Salt Valley has been producing salt for over 7,000 years. Let that number settle for a moment. When the first people here began evaporating brine in wooden channels, the pyramids of Egypt were still 4,000 years in the future. Today, the valley is a cascade of more than 5,000 salt pans terraced down the hillside in shades of white, pink and grey. It looks like nothing else in Europe, almost lunar, dropping away beneath you as you approach. Guided tours run throughout the day and last about an hour. They walk you through the pans, explain the engineering that's barely changed since the Bronze Age, and end with a tasting. The salt here has a mineral complexity that makes regular table salt taste like cardboard. Bags of the stuff are available in the shop and make a genuinely useful souvenir. Entry is around €12. The valley is at its visual peak in summer when the pans are full and slowly crystallizing in the sun. Standing here, looking at 7 millennia of continuous human activity laid out in layers, the fisherman's words come back again. The whole story of the world is written there.
He was talking about rocks, not salt, but the idea is the same. Deep time made visible. And now, finally, we're heading back to the coast. An hour north from Añana, past Bilbao and back toward the sea, there's one last stop, the one I've been circling around since the very first sentence.
Zumaya is a small coastal town between Bilbao and San Sebastián that most people pass through without slowing down. There is a pleasant beach, a cluster of restaurants, nothing that grabs you immediately. But walk west from Itzeron beach at low tide, following the base of the cliffs, and within 15 minutes, the rock beneath your feet starts to change. What begins as ordinary dark stone gradually reveals itself to something staggering. Millions of years of geological history, tilted almost vertical by tectonic forces and exposed by the relentless Atlantic. The layers are astonishingly regular, dark bands alternating with lighter ones, each band representing tens of thousands of years of sediment slowly accumulating on an ancient seabed. You're walking through 60 million years of Earth's history, reading it like pages of a book turned on its side. And then you find it. A thin, dark line, no wider than a finger, running through the rock face at about chest height. This is the KTG boundary, the layer of iridium-rich clay deposited by the asteroid impact that ended the age of dinosaurs 66 million years ago. You can press your thumb against it. Below that line, the Cretaceous, the world of tyrannosaurs and vast, shallow seas. Above it, the world that eventually produced us. The boundary between everything before and everything after, right there, under your hand. The Fleisch formations at Zumaya are considered one of the most complete geological records on the planet. Scientists have studied them since the 1980s, but tourism is still minimal. No queues, no tickets, no barriers. The critical detail? You need low tide. Check the tide tables in advance. The tourist office in Zumaya posts them, or the Algori Interpretation Centre near Itzeron Beach has them displayed. Give yourself at least 2 hours before the tide turns, because you'll want to linger. The walk along the cliff base is uneven, sometimes slippery rock, so wear shoes with grip. Sandals are a bad idea. A guided geological walk leaves from the Algori Centre several times a week, about €8 for 2 hours, and it transforms what you're seeing into impressive rock formations, into a readable history of the planet. On the walk back, with waves hitting 66-million-year-old stone and the late afternoon light picking out every layer in the cliff, the scale of what you've touched settles in quietly. The Basque Country can feel ancient. Its language is older than every other in Europe. Its stone farmhouses have stood for centuries. Its traditions run deep. But this coast makes even those seem like yesterday. The Basque Country doesn't fit neatly into what most people expect from Spain. There are no flamenco guitars here, no sun-baked plains. Instead, green mountains drop into a wild Atlantic coastline. The food is among the finest in Europe, and the sense of deep time, whether in a 7,000-year-old salt valley or a cliff that remembers the death of the dinosaurs, runs through everything. It's a region that rewards every extra day you give it. Like if this was interesting, hit the subscribe for more and turn that notification bell on.